Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this speed gaming presentation of the Link to the Past Randomizer 2022 main tournament. We'll have a whole lot to say about this as we get going forward, but I am MindDM. I am joined in the commentary booth today by a buddy of mine from Group Z, Willard J. Bradley. Willard, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you for asking. I'm got my cup of coffee, I got some great tunes, loving the MSU pack today, and looking forward to a very important race between these two runners. I believe quite a bit is at stake today between Radical Sniper and Krithel. You want to share with us what's at stake, especially?
Alright, so for people who may not have the challenge page open right in front of them, Krithel is currently 3-2 in this group, has beaten everyone in the group once. Jesse, aka Radical Sniper, is currently 2-3, and has beaten the other two players in the group once. If Jesse beats Krithel today, they're both 3-3, and have tied with everybody, so they'll have a race-off. Of course, if Krithel wins this one, Krithel just goes in as a 4-2. So a lot at stake here. Could be an additional race right on top of it, although it's not a back-to-back situation. Don't worry about that one just yet, but here we are off and running.
Yeah, today we got inverted keys with starting activated flute. So we are already into the Maya area. Gonna check the two items over there while Radical Sniper is heading over to check Stumpy. And with that, $20 could even do archery game into digging game.
Looks like Krithel wanted a little bit of Mire information there. I believe that was the Quake Medallion requirement.
That looked like the Quake Medallion. I mean, we got $20 over here in the Mire Shed Waltz. We got a blue boomerang. It's a, early stun, early kind of weapon, but, could get your stun prize information relatively quickly, especially because, with inverted keys, you're trying to get bombs so you can get into Hype Cave, because that's 5 quick items. So if you can get a bomb drop for a stun prize, that'd be pretty helpful. I think
you can call it a little bit of an early game safety. Having to walk around the Dark World on 3 hearts green mail is not really
that's
the
true.
developer intended way to go.
There's a lot of enemies that will quickly bop you if you're not paying attention. I think what I'd like to see is the little blobs or jellies that pop up at this ambush chest to stun one of them with a boomerang and then throw that pot over there at them. That'd be the quickest way, I think, in this situation to figure out our stun prize.
Yeah, Thieves Town, a lot of those pots that you might be able to use for a situation like that, but Krithel choosing to bypass it, at least for the moment.
I believe for consistency, I'll go ahead and call Radical Sniper by the name of Jesse, as you did, so just to make it consistent, eh? Jesse picks up Small Key from Digging Game. Which one is this? This is Misery Mire. Not very useful at the moment, while Krithel picks up a Heart Container, so not too much going on here in Thieves Town. So where is our answer today?
Early days not giving us great answers. Jesse going to go ahead and make this Mire check now. So he could just have something here in the surrounding environs of the Village Outcast. Krithel went directly into Thieves Town first and didn't really find anything for the time and trouble.
Yeah, like right now, of course, just like in a regular mode, our goal is to find the means to get into the other world, into the light world. We need our Moon Pearl, we need our glove, hammer, stuff like that. Of course, with that activated flute, we have a few more options. If, say, you were to stumble upon both gloves, you could find your way into the light world via the Mire portal to get you to the desert area, situations like that. We still also have Skullwoods to look at. We have a bit of the mountain you can also go do. And of course, farm up some money and go straight to pod for 1 check. So
yeah, the flute does give you access to the pyramid. You could flute to 5 and just trot your happy self over there. It's a bit of a walk and a bit of a dangerous one in the early game, but it is an item that's available to you.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough spot, the pyramid. You'd be just asking for like early boots. Of course, we do also still have Hype Cave, and Krithel gonna farm some bombs up here, take a quick death warp to respawn the bombs.
There are a handful of options for those early bombs, but this is probably the most consistent one if you don't happen to have pulled a glove in the early going. There are those 50-50 bushes down by the brewery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you also manage to pick up a glove somewhere, you could also use right next to the starting point, the Dark Sank spot. There's like a diagonal arrow of rocks that you can pick up, and I believe every one of the rocks, or at least the middle part of those rocks, all have 50-50 bomb drops as well.
I think it's all of the ones on the diagonal. So the little outliers on the arrow are not going to drop bombs, but you have something like 4 chances, I think, which is pretty decent on a 50-50 chance.
Also, I just remembered, like, I love this MSU pack that we're hearing on Jesse's side, but I absolutely removed the Thieves Town one because that song drives me nuts. So, hopefully next time we're in Thieves Town will be the last time.
Yeah, I know a lot of runners who are big fans of this pack. I have not used it myself, mostly because it's just music from a whole lot of other games, most of which I like, and most of which have dedicated packs.
It's nice because it's like it's all using, most of them are all using like the Super Mario World sound font because it's from a Mario World ROM hack, so they all kind of fit together thematically. And there's just so many good tunes.
So after all of this, Krithel with all of the farm farming working around in Skull Woods, Jesse decided, well, I found all this money, I'm just going to buy bombs, and I'm going to get to Hype Cave a little more quickly. So, hey, Divergence, huzzah, in the early game. Small key to Harrow, which really is not going to change anybody's fortunes just yet. Eastern Big, okay, you want it eventually. Sword Flippers, okay, now we're talking video game.
Flippers doesn't really do much for us right now. I mean, if you take away the activated fluid, it's like, okay, now I have access to Pyramid Pod, but we already have that. But that sword is a really nice find.
Again, one of those things that you can kind of consider a safety in the early going. Now you can knock things out of your way. You don't have to stay on the boomerang with your thumb hovering over that Y button at all times. And, maybe not surprisingly, our runner is just going to go ahead and trade spots here. Krithel with all of the checks there in Hype Cave, Jesse heading for Skull Woods like you do.
Sad. So it's looking like our answer is either going to be up in that Super Bunny Cave, up on the mountain, or Pyramid, or that first chest pod. I believe that's all we have left. And this is... this is just the great part about this mode is, like, it's this early and you're already down to, like, a couple one-offs. So you're already starting to feel bad about, like, man, if it's just at the pyramid, but I go do all this other stuff and find nothing, then I'm already feeling a little behind.
Or if it's just at pod, but I'd really like to have at least one small key before I go over there, because otherwise I'm literally locked into just that one check. Feels bad, man.
Speaking of feels bad, looks like Jesse was trying to get that magic drop, but too many sprites in the previous screen would not allow that to spawn. I believe with the red berry splitting into 2 was what did it.
Yep, that is an unfortunate sprite overload. Wanted to top up on magic there, not going to be allowed to.
It's like Krithel wanted to get a little bit more money. Might be stopping at archery game to get enough to head over to pod. Now, I believe both of these runners might be, I would have to see for myself, but I'm sure both of these runners could probably know how to mimic clip in pod to include 2 more items. Of course, those would be out of logic, but it's one of those like, well, I'm here, I might as well do it because you never know. You might go up to Super Bunny and find a bow to go get progression on right side pod.
Entirely possible.
I mean, the thing is, right now we're still looking for we're still looking for a lot of items, even stuff that's going to make our light world visit a joyful one instead of a agonizing bunny walk all the way up to get your moon pearl off a bottle vendor.
It's starting to look like that kind of thing, though, or the agonizing walk to turn the old man in, and then you're just kind of stuck in the light world, and there's not really anything you can do. It's pretty bad. The early inverted game can just turn into this sometimes.
We also do have the first chest of Castle Tower, and now that we have a weapon, we can actually get that. So there's one more option. Yeah, I think if the first thing I want to see, if and when we get a inverted 2.0, is a change to the Old Man Rescue, because it is like worse than Mirrorless Smith. Maybe not. It's pretty close though. It is a lot of walking.
It feels particularly bad in this mode because with the activated flute, you can just flute to one in the Dark World anyway, so being able to start at that spot is really devalued.
Mm-hmm. And I think without Lamp, like, I would probably skip this check for a while. If not forever, just because I don't want to do it. But we are going to get some more information, of course. Jesse's check is in logic, Krithel's is not, but, you know, we're still looking. It's inverted keys. We're going to need a lot of items. There's a fire rod. Oh, no. Well, we got some more options. We can now get one in logic check in the back of Skullwoods, or we can make a Ice Palace dive. It just gets better.
Doesn't it just, though? And Jesse says, nope, you know what? I'm going to go to the mountain first. I don't want anything to do with either of those options.
Picking up a Master Sword off the old man is a really nice find. You know, we have 4 hearts, green mail, but at least we have a better sword.
Yeah, better than nothing, especially if you wind up diving on into the tower up here. The Master Sword spins will get the job done a lot faster than the Fighter Sword slashes.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse may have enough magic here for one Fire Rod shot on one of these Ball and Chain guards, but unless he really wants to wait around, I don't think he's going to get both of them. And yep, one, and then we're going to go to slashes.
Yeah. It's just like fighting Ball and Chain guard and Zelda Cell. Just 8 quick ones, no biggie. Alright, is this going to be what we're looking for? Yes, it is. That's a Moon Pearl. Alright. That's one piece of the puzzle. Now we just need to find, what? A glove and a hammer? Or a lamp and 2 small keys to Castle Tower? Or the list.
Yeah,
it keeps going.
The list is fairly large yet.
The best part about this mode, which is definitely not terrible.
Dances with Lionels.
They need to go. There needs to just be like one on each side. I think even just getting rid of one Lionel will make this trek not as awful. So, Mindium, what do you think? Do you think our light rolled progression is going to be chilling in early Ice Palace?
That's starting to look somewhat likely. I'm wondering if we're going to pick up at least a piece of it out of Super Bunny Cave here, though. We'll see if Krithel has a little better luck with these Lionels.
Yeah, the good news is, especially for Jesse, well, for both of them, is if you make it to Super Bunny Cave, then you can get a full magic refill. Oh, okay. Makes it past the Lionels. A little scary. Let's see what we are rewarded with today. It feels like this is going to lead into like 2 gloves to get to the dark or get to the light world.
flute to 6 and then you start walking around from the desert area. That had it happen once feels pretty bad. You really hope that maybe boots will show up first. Small key to Hyrule Castle, not a castle tower key.
All right. Well, we are now, down to Pod and Ice Palace. Lovely. And Krithel will still have to go to the pyramid to get that fire rod first, so we might even see a pod play first from Krithel before the pyramid. In the meantime, I'm just going to be jamming, though.
Jesse evening up with that Master Sword, and Krithel going to go ahead and make the pod play. No pod keys available just yet, but we are down to just a handful of locations at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we can get 1 item here in pod, 2 more if you do the Mimic Clip, or you go to Ice Palace, you get 1 item in the front, and then I believe Freezors and Ice Tea. And then you could do like some tricks to get to the right side if possible. Maybe an Ice Palace Small will show up. All right, what is this? Our answer? Oh, Are we just gonna like find the hammer in Ice Palace or something at this point?
Hammer in Ice Palace big chest? It begins to look likely, or at least possible.
Yeah, that big key, for the most part, just opens up 1 more chest. Now, if we find an Ice Small, then we can do almost everything, depending on if we find a hammer or not. Alright, what is the medallion for TR? Ether? Not that that's really that important, because you rarely see someone actually open up TR in inverted. It's usually beat try next to open TR or shenanigans like that.
Rarer, but not impossible. I have seen a few of these very late mirrors in inverted seeds in the course of watching a handful of tournament races. So at least you know what you're on the lookout for if the mirror doesn't fall into your inventory in the near future.
Yeah. I think the last one, Inverted Keys, I watched had a Trinex with a mirror, so in that situation, you're going all the way through the dungeon.
And we do have Krithel here select buffering. This Mimic Clip scares the daylights out of me every time. I know I would save and quit.
Select buffering is terrifying. I've gotten the bufferless Mimic Clip down pretty well at this point that I feel confident enough. It's really not too bad. It's just you're just sliding your thumb across the D-pad over and over. But yeah, anytime I see select buffers, it's like I would mess this up horribly. Yeah, nice job. We got a map and a small key to Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock small key is a little less helpful in the inverted version of keys if you get that mirror and you can go diving in from Laser Bridge or the middle or a number of other locations rather than having to go in through the front. But as we were just discussing, if you don't get the mirror, then all of a sudden you're back to needing the normal 3 to 4 to get through that.
Yeah. It's crazy how 1 item could just completely change the entire routing of that dungeon. Oh yeah, Krithel still has to go get the fire rod off of the pyramid. Ooh, watch out for that bird. Oh, we also did see another TR small here in the front of Ice Palace, so this game really hiding our light world access. Really deep in this dungeon now.
And
basically, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, with no red cane, we're going to get everybody's favorite tech circa 2017, Ice Palace Bomb Jump incoming.
Hey, it's one of the first tricks that I learned. This and Hammer Jump.
Now, given that he's unlikely to be considering clearing the dungeon here, maybe he just forgoes it, and it looks like he will.
I think that's a good idea. Though, at the same time, it's like, I'd be thinking that I'm going to get Hammer in here, just because it's one of the pieces that you need to get to the Light World. One of the potential pieces, so But you know, if you're wrong, then it saves you lose a bit of time having to like trek all the way back up for iced tea room.
But after all this time, 19 minutes into this thing, we've done pretty much and seen pretty much everything. And our runners converge on the same dungeon again. The inverted early game does tend to lend itself to that just a little bit.
Yeah. Now there could still be progression in the back of Skull, at least off of the first chest. And well, there's our TR medallion. Not that we can do anything in there unless Samaria shows up. But yeah, I mean, the C could be like, okay, go into ice to get a glove, and then go to the back of Skull Woods to get your hammer or other glove to get the light world.
Or go one of these places to get Samaria and go into Turtle Rock.
Oh, I mean, we did see 2 TR smalls, so I mean, you could get pretty far in there. At least up until the big key door. Oh, he didn't get the Ice Palace Big. That was in Pod. Uh-oh. I didn't think about that. Oh no.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
That was in the first chest of Pod, right?
Yes, that was the non-bow locked.
Oh my gosh, that is
the TR small that he got in there was the bow locked item. So we would really only have one logical TR key if that's the way this winds up going.
That is absolutely brutal if that's if that big chest ends up having what we need. Okay, we got a music change. I believe we were informed that Krithel is listening to music from Final Fantasy IX, a game that I've not played. Couldn't tell you much about the music either. But boy, this is the Ice Palace theme right here.
As you might expect, it has a very classically Final Fantasy sound to it. I'm personally a fan of both the sound of that particular OST and the game itself. The last Final Fantasy that I would say that I truly enjoyed, but
oh really? Thanks. I have a long list of them I need to play. I started with Final Fantasy X and Tactics Advance. Those are like the first Final Fantasies that I played and completed.
Ah, okay. See, I started with Final Fantasy. There were no numbers
there you
back
go. Then. Nice. All right, what do we got in Skull Woods? The answer is a map to Ice Palace. Okay, so the answer is in this big chest that Krithel
is currently bypassing because lack of hookshot.
Yeah. Whoops. All right.
Yeah, and
so
you could tell with the hesitation when he fell down the pit that I intended to check that, and I'm not going to be able to now.
Yeah, Krithel also did set up the Ice Palace bomb jump, just hoping to find both a glove and a hammer in here. But still having to go all the way around to get up to Ice Tea Room. But yeah, since I have played Final Fantasy VI, I played that a couple of years ago for the first time, and then played the randomizers quite a bit right afterwards, and it's a pretty heckin' good game.
Yep, lots of solid entries in the first 6 there. Let's see, this is the point where Jesse decided to dip out of Ice Palace. It looks like Krithel intends to continue.
Yeah, Krithel wants to make it back to that big chest. Ooh. But gets bought by the free... Wow. I gotta say, both these runners are kind of just getting the business from this seed. This seed is rough. Unless that was an intentional death just to save the small key to get one more check in. Okay, well, it's not Skull Woods. I mean, we already knew that because Moth isn't in logic without the other small keys anyway. But the answer we seek is in that Ice Palace big chest. Oh, that gets a yikes from me.
Yeah, it does. That does put a crystal on the board for Jesse, though. Took about 23 minutes, but here we go.
That sounds about right for this mode. All right, now Jesse's gonna head up to pod, find that Ice Palace big key, say a couple choice words, and then probably mimic clip, and then head to Ice Palace.
And hopefully Krithel's going to be on top of our answer of what is in that Ice Palace big chest here in the next, what do you think, 45 seconds or so?
I mean, the thing is, there's really not one item that that solves all their woes. Like, it's going to be something that's going to lead them, back into it. As you were saying, it's probably just going to lead them back into TR.
Yeah, it's starting to feel a lot like Samaria, is it not?
That'd be my guess. Which, Samaria and Ice Palace, classic.
Or being inverted, it could be Mirror, and that gives you Laser Bridge and a bunch of additional checks if you really want them.
Well, I think we still would need...
We still need to be able to get into the light world there. So
yeah.
It could be Hookshot leading us to something like a Mirror
That's
on Light
true.
Mountain to get in there.
We do have access to the light world up on Death Mountain, and with a Hookshot, we would be able to get over to Paradox Cave and Super Bunny. And that would open up quite a few options, a few possible goodies. And yeah, with that Death Warp, Krithel is going to be able to check this chest here. Gets a glove. Wow. Ew. That's just gross.
That's a location for that, yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, your options to get that were to either do that Death Warp and go through the dungeon a second time, or to bomb jump across that hookshot pit in that one room, the one with all the red berries, to get up to that point.
That's not the worst bomb jump in the world. Now that I've had another glove. Okay, both gloves in Ice Palace. Good game. Good game.
What the heck? That's disgusting. Alright, where's Krithel going? He doesn't
That's
have
what
any
I'm trying
items.
to figure out. They trying to play to the boss, but not having the hammer is going to preclude that very quickly. Or
same with not having hearts.
Yes, getting jumped on by the Stalfos Knight will also end your trip in Ice Palace fairly quickly.
Okay, well, I mean, we have light world access, and it's like all of a sudden you're like, I have literally nothing left except what's in Ice Palace, to I have everything left. What do I do? Where do I go? This is, in my opinion, like the hardest part. Well, not the hardest part. I think it's kind of the rough part about this mode is like now you have access to so much, and you easily go one direction and miss out on something really good, like in Lost Woods. But we got a lot of items we're about to see, so.
And routing it all is terrible because even though you have a flute, it doesn't do anything for you here.
Yeah. So checks like Witch's Hut or like getting to Ice Rock Cave are a bit of a slog now.
Knowledge of the whirlpool system can help you, but only so much.
Mm-hmm. And wow, there's our hammer. Okay. Well, that's at least good. And Jesse now having to go back to Ice Palace. The question is, will Jesse get that other glove as well? Well, I guess Jesse has to. There's really no other options. A single glove doesn't do anything for you in the Dark World, I don't think. At this point? No, I don't think so. You could open up Hookshot Cave and then do nothing.
And stare longingly at the chests in there and say, I wish I could open all 4 of you and get something useful. Yep, but you can't. Ice Rod there on Krithel's side in Blind's old hideout.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good find. We need a lot of items and we need a lot of information. Because, I mean, aside from the crystal we got from Skull, we don't really know where anything else is yet. Big fan of that. It's a good trade.
100, gain 3. I like that trade.
I guess that is true. That one glove you get does open up catfish. That's great. I will say the one thing about the activated flute in the Dark World is getting to catfish is really quick now because you can just flute to the potion shop. But you have to remember that you can do that though. It's, definitely forgot about that as I'm like walking to the potion shop. I'm like, oh yeah, I could have just fluted here. Huh?
Imagine getting to catfish ever. That wasn't at all important yesterday.
Nope, doesn't exist. We do have book, which is a lot more important item in this mode, with it being the only means of you getting into Desert Palace, and with a Desert Small already in hand as well. That's quite a few checks. Well, that's more of the checks that you can get in that dungeon if you didn't have that Desert Small. I sound like John Madden now, just stating the obvious.
It's something of Inverted's answer to the flute, really, since the flute is required to get to the mire area in regular seeds, the book required to get into desert in the Inverted version.
Yeah. Because now, like in Inverted, flute's not always required. It just really depends on how the seed plays out. Inverted it's an interesting mode. I do enjoy playing it casually, I will say. No, that's not true. I'm just making stuff up now. Alright, well, fortunately, Jesse is getting both of his gloves. And we'll probably head straight to... I could see him going straight to Light World, right to Kakariko as well. Just, Kakariko seems like a pretty safe starting point once you get into the Light World, just because there's so many items there.
We did have that initial worry about starting at the mire spot instead and having to bunny walk, but we're long past that at this point. And going to go ahead and pick off the catfish check here. I'm wondering if this is going to be an Ice Palace small key to make sure that that other glove was nice and logical.
That would be funny. Thieves Town small, always good to get early. Especially before you get your Thieves Town big. Otherwise, a whole bunch of rocks. Oh, wow. Okay.
That
Immediate
is not
payoff.
a small key to Ice Palace.
That is not a small key to Ice. You know, after all that, I would be like, okay, game, thank you. Thank you for giving me the boots. I forgive you.
All is forgiven. Now I can play the video game.
And also grabbing the lamp out of the dam, so we're getting some good items right away. And we're also going to see a smith turn in early. Oh yeah, now with these boots we can get the first chest out of Hookshot Cave. Maybe that's where your Ice Palace small is.
My mind does not think in inverted. I was thinking, wait, but he's inverted, so he can't take the smith and then, oh yes, he has to get into the light world up here. That's right. I'm good at the video game. I know how this works.
It's all very confusing sometimes. Okay, we gotta really pay attention because we were getting a lot of checks done real fast. We got a big key to Tower of Hera, which is... that's good to have. Because you might not get Hookshot. Hookshot could be up there. Might not get a Hera pot. I wonder if we will see a... I mean, I'm assuming doing this before checking checkerboard means we'll probably be heading into desert at this point.
Having that Tower of Hera small key also keeps you out of the situations where you do Hera pot and then you're just sitting there with that one-off check that you don't really ever want to go back for, especially in Inverted where Tower of Hera is a bit of a slog to reach.
Yeah. Because the only way you can get to it is by... well, they could actually get to it right now if they wanted to. Because you need either Mitts and Hammer and Moon Pearl, of course, or you need a Hookshot Hammer. But yeah, it's a bit out of the way. You can't mirror to it anymore, so... Right, what do we got on Desert Ledge? 20 bucks. wonder if we'll see something on the desert torch that's going to make those boots immediately important. Yeah, that's the thing, is you get light world access and that catfish check is just completely gone from your mind. Krithel's going to need to find like the mirror or something, just so when they eventually get around to doing the Zora checks, they can mirror and check catfish at the same time.
That sounds so backwards, because it is.
That's the point. Whoa, it's inverted, it's wacky. Magic powder.
Not a bad find. Gives you a check, gives you a little safety that works really well in a lot of late game areas.
Yeah, especially as we're still at 4 and 5 hearts apiece. Having anything that'll give you some help. Oh, nice half magic from the Smiths. It's a nice find. Not really what, not exactly what you're hoping for. Maybe like a big key or a required item, or, a vanilla sword would be nice too. But, half magic will save you some time later on.
Here comes that torch check. A compass.
Well, that's good for Krithel for now.
You can maybe say good and bad, because you're not on the lookout for boots in that particular scenario, but if it's something that you need, then well, it's got to be out there somewhere. I'm not just waiting until GT for it.
True. What is this music? We did get a castle tower small, so we'll be able to get the second check in here. Oh, never mind.
Or we could just walk right on by. That's fine too.
Well, I mean, we didn't see what's at Lumberjack, so... Not that we would need 2 small keys to get that, but...
The dangerous idea is if the second one is just vanilla in there.
Yeah, it does happen. This music is very silly. Just gonna go ahead and make me a liar from earlier. Open up TR, even though you can't do anything in it, so that's fine. But with Hammer's gonna be able to do its Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave and go to Hera, full clear it. We got some options. We got some items. We got a map.
Hey, information, finally, although Krithel probably not going to map check for a single map here.
Probably not. We did get a blue mail here in the Lost Woods, and we are going to get a pedestal check. Alright, what do we got on the ped? If you die, I will revive you. That is a fairy in a bottle. Now, that is our first known bottle, so, maybe...
It's a very strange world in which that knowledge winds up mattering, but if it is, I'm here for it.
I mean, what if all 3 bottles are in GT? Anyway,
and there's a bow behind that one on the small child, sure.
Right. That blue mail and half magics and boots, Jesse is starting to really pick up some good items, good helpful items. Just need to find like a sword or something.
Krithel going to show us Paradox 2 here, which seems to have some mild value, some logical value there, but not really anything you were concerned about finding.
Alright, what do we got going on at the Lumberjack? Will we potentially be killing Aghanim today for... Oh, maybe. Oh, no. Well...
As a reminder, you can glance down at the tracker and see that that is the entry requirement for Misery Mire, but we don't know if Misery Mire is a crystal or a pendant yet.
Mm-hmm. But, gotta keep your eyes out for that other castle tower small then. I was gonna laugh if it was right there.
That would have been an entertaining location for it, but not to be this time.
I mean, for me, if I saw Quake there, I'd be okay with that. Just because I'd rather... The worst is you find, like, a fetch quest at Lumberjack, like a shovel or a book or a mushroom. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that kind of commitment.
Well, maybe you don't, but I did. I've made that play.
I mean, it could be a winning play. You never know.
We did see... It was not.
It was not. Oh, no. We did see a pendant over at Desert Palace, so that is one of our pendants. And it looked like there might have been a crystal in the light world, maybe here. I don't know. I'd have to look again. It was so phased. Ooh. Yeah, so far, nothing, aside from seeing that Quake, nothing really showing up behind these boots. We got, what, a Ganon small key and $300, I think it was, or a heart piece out of King's Tomb.
Yeah, nothing really game-changing behind them thus far.
I would still be very happy to have them. 30, I think Jesse got him like 31 minutes in. Oh, look, a bottle! Pedestal's dead! Yay! I don't know what that... I'm assuming that bomb was just a quick swap error. I was like, are they gonna bomb themselves or something? But no, maybe.
That was my first guess, and then my second guess was maybe that's close enough to hit the switch and it's going to time out, so right after Krithel gets out of the cage there with the item, the bomb's going to go off and flip the pegs for him, but no.
Oh, maybe. But we did see a map for Swamp Palace pop up into someone's hand, so that's more info. You want to get as much of that info as possible. Did oh no, it's in the, we haven't seen it yet. I don't think either runner has checked the big bomb salesman to find out where our pyramid fairy crystals are. Ooh. Tempered sword out of Waterfall Fairy.
And one, count it, one Palace of Darkness small key. That enables a couple of additional logical checks there. Not much, though.
I think that's our second one we've seen. There was one also in Desert on Krithel's side, so... So both runners finding good items. I think Jesse's kind of winning in that department with this Tempered Sword, Half Magic, and Boots. But we are getting... Ooh, that was a scary hammer hit right there. I was going to get knocked down the middle hole. It looks like we've seen actually quite a few pod smalls. All right. Shows how much I've been paying attention.
It is interesting, particularly in a keys mode, when you start counting those pod smalls, because your logical breakpoints are 1 and then not again until 4.
Mm-hmm. But it's really easy to go to pod with 3 and just start, trying to full clear as much of it as you possibly can. We did see crystals at Eastern and Hera. So only one pennant in the light world.
Speaking of, that was Krithel putting a crystal on the board there. We would be remiss in not mentioning that. That does even our crystal count up between the runners.
Back into Thieves Town with Big Key and Small Key can full clear this dungeon. Of course, we don't know if this is a pennant or not, but we will find out soon enough.
And this time we do have Krithel's audio. This is one of my favorite tracks from the game, one of my favorite tracks of the FF9 MSU.
It kind of reminds me of, what's that place called in FF6?
Yeah, and
it starts with a Z.
It does, and it's not coming to my mind. Zozo. There we go.
Zozo,
Just got us.
That sounded like a made-up word.
Chat's got it, but here we go.
Oh, I like this. This is a nice song. I'm just sitting here just jamming along. I'm so glad that we got MSUs for restreams. That's such a nice... It's a nice addition.
It's a nice, fun, additional flavor. It's interesting a lot of times to see what runners want to go with what pack, but then what the pack's creator kind of had in mind. You can kind of think along with them, particularly if you already know the songs from the game they come from, see if they're being... if the author of the pack had something particular in mind, trying to evoke whatever was going on in the original game at the time. There's a lot of additional fun to be had with it.
I feel like a lot of times the pack makers will like go for, you know, a theme around each song, like that fits thematically with each dungeon. And here I'm like, okay, this is my favorite song. Can you put it everywhere instead? I don't know what it is, but like Thieves Town always seems to be the dungeon that has like the best song out of all the packs. And I'm like, can I move this to the Dark World so I can listen to it all the time? Funny enough, while Krithel is going through Thieves Town, we did see Jesse pick up the Thieves Town map on Hylia Island. Ooh, and there is our 4th sword here in the Maiden Cell. So we've seen all 4.
Seems likely that everybody's going to land on that. Another TR small. We're up to 3 of those now, if the count can be believed.
I just need to find that Cane of Samaria. But then again, we would still need like T-Rock Big to get even further, to get to like Laser Bridge or whatnot.
Sometimes, especially in Keys modes, it just feels like the game is hinting you in a certain direction with the items that it's giving you, particularly on the side of, hey, here are all these TR small keys. I wonder if something's going to be in there.
It's like, man, I got 5 pod smalls. I better go to pod, and it's empty. Okay, never mind. Thanks, game.
Yeah, the non-key sanity version of the game can do that to you just as easily, though. Oh, hey, here's a bow and a hammer and a lamp. You want to go full clear pendant Palace of Darkness for absolutely nothing? Sure,
yeah.
Game. I'll take the bait.
Oh, and here's a boat, by the way. Off a blind.
Kind of half speaking that one into existence. And I knew that was a crystal because Jesse had checked the bomb vendor. Red crystal, in fact, but Jesse pulling the mirror out of the front of Hyrule Castle. A location in Inverted that is not always the easiest thing to want to go to.
Yeah. I feel like if there's any time you'd want to go to it is if you already have the boots. Otherwise, it's or if you hadn't checked the pyramid yet and you already had the mirror, so you could like mirror to check pyramid while you're up there. But this is good for Jesse since I don't believe they've been up to the mountain yet, so they will be able to make those dips into T-Rock. So probably hoping to pick up that TR big along the way. But with bow in hand, can go full clear Eastern Palace. Does know it's a crystal.
Six potential items worth of density there for the taking. We're still missing quite a bit, so let's see if any of it is in here.
It's kind of crazy how completely different routes these two runners have taken, and eventually they're gonna like swap places and do everything else the other person did. And
I remember we were back around 18 or 19 minutes, and I was saying, well, Inverted kind of funnels you into the same early plays. Both of our runners are in Ice Palace, yada, yada, yada. And since that time, they picked up those two gloves. They basically haven't seen hide nor hair of each other.
Nope. Which is really interesting. But I mean, I feel like that's the nature of Inverted. Once you get to the Light World, there's just so much opening, especially if you get to the Light World with Mitts and then find Hammer immediately. Like, you know, all of a sudden you have so much access that it's really easy just to do completely different things from each other. So we still don't know what our last pendant dungeon is, so we don't have all of our dungeon info. But after Eastern, unless Krithel picks up a green pendant off of Eastern, we'll get that information from Saha here, I believe, quickly.
I certainly dipped into the Eastern Palace before going over to Saha, so I think we're going to get that Saha check fairly directly, as long as Krithel's not one of those runners like myself who always tries to do Saha first, and so in the rare instances where you go into Eastern Palace, you clear the dungeon and think, oh, well, I'm done here, and since it's inverted, I can't even flute, so same quit.
Right, I say that as if I don't already know that Eastern is a crystal. I guess we know it's a crystal, but doesn't have... How does he know it's a crystal if he doesn't have the map for it? Oh, because Jesse has the map for it. I'm looking at the top left of the screen. It's like I don't see the letter C, but that's why. It's because of we have extra information because we're watching 2 races at the same time.
And those HUD designators are really nice. I do recommend paying attention to them when they pop up. It can save you a pendant clear every once in a while.
This is a bit of a radical play. The first chest of swamp check. We did see, I think we saw this earlier, but that is a crystal at Mire, so that Quake medallion off a Lumberjack is going to be absolutely required, so those boots are absolutely required. Boy, there was a race, I think it was like fall 2018 or something, where my opponent checked Dam for the first time after they got to the Dark World, so they went ahead and checked the first chest of Swamp Palace while they were there, and of course pulled a vanilla small key and completely won the race. And so, you know, Jesse was trying to pull off the same shenanigans, but not as lucky this time.
It's certainly one of those checks where you're kind of there right now. It's unlikely to get better, particularly in the inverted side of things, where you're just kind of trying to route the light world as conveniently as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, if you're checking the dam, you have the mirror, that is the perfect time to go ahead and check the front of, the first chest of swamp. So
you're going through the deflooding animation in the light world anyway. Go ahead and take advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been a big payoff. And with boots in hand, Jesse is going to find another compass sitting on the torch up here in Desert. And we are about to go talk to Saha and find out where our last pendant is. We have quite a few items, quite a few big keys. Where do we go next? Do we go back to Ice Palace? Green pendant, Turtle Rock, of course.
So, all of those Turtle Rock small keys, bait, or is there treasure back there? We've kind of narrowed Palace of Darkness down to a crystal based on the rest of the information we have, so pod big, maybe some logical pod smalls in there as well.
So, okay. Boy, we still need quite a few items. Quite a few big keys. Cane of Samaria. We need to get Hookshot, Swamp Small. Yeah. Still got quite a ways to go. I mean, we're not even an hour in yet, so it's still a little early.
Pod big, Mire big, CT small too. Yeah. That's a decent chunk of stuff that you still got to get.
That's some good stuff. Now the question really is, when is Krithel going to make their way over to Catfish? It's unfortunate not checking that before going to the light world, just because there's so many things in the light world that you can do. But at the same time, it's also unfortunate that of course had to have something required. That Catfish easily could have been useless. Oh yeah, I don't think we've seen Sick Kid yet. That's Harpies.
If we had and we'd forgotten it, we forgot with good reason, because it wasn't anything important.
Where was Was that bottle up on Death Mountain, I think? Yeah, it was in Hera. I remember now. All right. Now the question is, how many more new checks are we gonna get before we start seeing what the other runner already did? I believe. Look at this sync up though. This is nuts. This will be the last time our runners sync up again until, assuming the race goes, you know, well in both favors, we'll see him sync up again in GT. But Krithel's gonna have to make some moves here. I say that, but it's inverted. It's keys, so, you know, all you need is for one big key to be hidden somewhere really stupid. And it'll be really easy for things to, like, even out.
Alright, so where is this play going from Krithel here? Has he not checked the items here in Lost Woods?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. No, because the very large difference in mail upgrades we got here. Krithel will find their blue mail in the mushroom spot, and then we'll probably check ped, see that it's a bottle, and we'll move on. Man, it's a shame that Krithel came here before going to Hyrule Castle, because had they gone to Hyrule Castle, they could have had the mirror to mirror in front of the pedestal area to just immediately do the back of Skull Woods. Would have been really quick. All right, purple chest. What do you got for us? $5, baby. So what is the plan for Jesse now? East Death Mountain. I don't believe we've seen any of Death Mountain from Jesse yet, so this is a good play. And can mirror into, like, Laser Bridge and other parts of TR.
Yep, all sorts of available density up here. All of a sudden, interesting the play in here with one CT small, since Jesse is the one who already has that knowledge about the Quake medallion here on Lumberjack that Krithel is just about to see.
Guess it's one of those, like, I don't if the CT small is vanilla, what a last location that, and I think it's easier with the mirror because you can just grab it and then bail. Because nobody likes to death warp with red mail. That's a pain in the butt. But just some bombs. So we'll also get to see first chest, a hookshot cave. We haven't seen that yet. Yeah, these boots are Krithel or Jesse's getting close to like 30 minutes of having these boots over Krithel, and that adds up. Oh my gosh! All right, well, there's the hookshot.
Now I no longer have to speculate whether or not Jesse was going to try to hover the rest of Hookshot Cave, just hookshot and bonkshot just.
And there's another big key for Pod, a required big key. Man, I don't remember the last time I've seen hookshot there. That's crazy. So Pod Big, I believe there were a couple Pod Smalls. I would assume there's a couple Pod Smalls up here. I wonder if Jesse heads to Pod next. Pod Eastern after getting that bow. So I guess for Jesse, he doesn't know. He still doesn't know what the green pendant is. So Pod could still be a pendant to them.
Yeah, it's between that and TR, the difference being, at least once you find the bow, you've got that Pod Big Key, as opposed to Turtle Rock, where you don't have the Cane of Samaria, so you're not going to be able to beat it right now either way. Now, it could just be hiding out there on Laser Bridge, which is not a Samaria locked location now that he has the mirror.
Don't want a heart container? 6 hearts good enough? It's crazy how little health these runners still have. 6 hearts apiece. But I mean, if you're skipping heart containers, then that'd be why.
I could understand it a little more on Krithel's side, still not having the mirror. You want to try and keep the health a little lower so that you can death warp if you really need to. I don't know that I could have been convinced when I already had the mirror to say, no, you know what, that full heart container is not worth my time. But then, well, Jesse's not out of this tournament yet, and I am, so there may be a reason for that.
I don't know, man. It's just rando. Anything can happen. Did we see Hera Basement from Krithel? I don't remember if we did.
I don't recall it happening, but that feels like it would be a really interesting skip with how much he was missing at the time.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Krithel, with a win here, moves on to brackets. Jesse, with a win here, sets up another race, a tiebreaker race between these two, scheduled for a later date. So, if you like Rando, which I don't know if anyone really... Does anyone really like... Chad, you guys like Rando? Rando's pretty cool. Pretty cool guy. I would assume you'd be cheering for more Rando. And right now, Jesse's in a really good position. Get another crystal, has the boots, has the mirror, just being able to route a lot of these checks in very efficiently with minimal double dips. And I wonder if we'll see a Hera Basement skip here as well.
Also, shoutouts to the bare knuckle crystal pendant catch music there. Sounds very odd coming out of SNES style audio rather than Genesis, but
it's so great though.
Still really great. I know we've talked about the MSUs a time or two, and I will say there is a pack out there of bare knuckle, aka Streets of Rage 1 and 2. By a buddy of mine who unfortunately does not play a lot of Rando right at the moment, but if you do like that music, you like that sort of thing, don't hesitate to check it out. It's a really good one.
I do enjoy some Streets of Rage music. I believe one of them, if you go hang out in Sanctuary in this pack, I believe there's some good tunes you can just... Makes you just not want to leave. It's like, well, start the scene. Well, I'll just stay here for a little bit longer. What are you doing, Jesse? Leave them alone. They didn't deserve to die.
A little over-enthusiastic with the sword beams there, I think.
And a compass. Alright, so... Krithel, for now, not going to be burned by Hera Basement as long as they never go back. But still continuing to hold off on this Catfish. It's so unfortunate, too, because, like, Catfish in this mode is really not bad to get to. You just start in the Dark World, you flute to Potion Shop, and you just go over there. I mean, it's basically like checking Spike Cave. It's just, you know, it's a one-off.
Inconvenient, but not as inconvenient as it could be in some other modes.
Yeah. But, you know, what are the odds that it's the boots, right? I mean, come on. Boots are always in Ganon's Tower, right?
Sure feels that way, doesn't it?
So I'm wondering if there is anything else in Pendant Ice Palace. If we're gonna have to make a play into there at some point. Oh man, once again, I don't blame Krithel for not wanting to go to Hyrule Castle, because front of Hyrule Castle is, I don't know, it's really, I don't know, it just feels like a really slow check in this mode, but unfortunate, missing out on the mirror would have been the perfect time to mirror and check Catfish to get those boots.
Ah, that must have been why we missed the pod smalls. There were not 1 but 2 in Paradox 5.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a lot of pods. Alright, well.
Does
Probably
hit that next logical breakpoint.
Yeah, probably see that Eastern pod play, combo play from Jesse coming up next. Hopefully after we see... Yes, some laser bridge.
Jesse, a proponent of the bootsless variety of laser skips, it's a personal preference thing with him.
Oh. Oh, that's a required big key right there.
That is, in fact, the thing you're gonna need.
Yeah. So that mirror already required because we do have a Crystal Swamp, but now even more required because, you know, depending on where Samaria is, I'm gonna need that mirror to get in the back of TR to get that Meyer big. But first, before you get that Meyer big, you gotta go find a CT small, go beat Aga 1, grab the boots off a Catfish, and then go get your Quake medallion.
Sounds like keys to me, Willard.
Sounds like. Yeah, Jesse continues to be very much in control of this race. Gonna go ahead and check the middle section of TR. This will be with 3 small keys. No, you know, you can even skip the pokey key. Who cares? But we'll get what, 2 checks in here.
A lava chest and chomps if you want to go slogging all the way through.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is leave Samaria in here. Alright, what do we got? $5! Get out of here.
Krithel now into the back of Skull Woods here. We're still not technically logical with only the 1 found small key, but decides this is the time to go ahead and take care of the moth. With the Butter Sword, the Half Magic, the Fire Rod, the Red Mail, Blue Mail on Krithel's side, in point of fact, even though the suit there on Samus is decidedly a very reddish hue.
Yeah, this has been a really nice cleanup of East Death Mountain for Jesse. Kind of liked how it worked out. But, I mean, that's what happens when you're up there for the first time and you have the mirror. You can just knock everything out in, like, 3 trips, basically.
Reasonably cooperative moth. That is going to be crystal number 4 on Krithel's side.
Definitely winning in the crystal department. And definitely running out of like good checks left. Hopefully Krithel will make that play over to Catfish before making like a pod dip. But at the same time, it'd be hard to turn down 4 small keys to get into pod. Though of course you'd rather have the big key as well.
We're a little over an hour into this thing, and it does appear to be cleanup time from both runners. We're going to see some checks that we've seen from the other runner already. So this is a really good time to remind you all that if you enjoy the show that the runners are putting on for you on this Friday afternoon or evening, if you happen to be across the pond, by all means, go ahead and give them a follow. Jesse, RadicalSniper99, and Krithel, both putting on this show for your enjoyment.
Yeah, and also want to give a big shout out to our tracker today, Lady Laura Linda. Thank you so much for helping us out, clicking them buttons, even though sometimes those buttons don't want to click. Appreciate it very much. See, this is the Thieves Town song that I removed. Because this is the part that drives me nuts. It's so annoying. I'm not wrong, am I?
No, I see where you get there. It kind of trails on a little longer than it needs to, I think. I would have to wonder if I got a hold of the chase on file, if that could be recut slightly, although I'm terrible at that. If you want somebody who is substantially better at it, I might recommend Pax by JJo36. Not that there aren't a number of other wonderful pack authors out there. There are so many more MSUs than you can really shake a stick at. You will play gobs and gobs and gobs of rando before you get through them all.
It's like we did see the second castle tower key here in the front of pod. So, well, I mean that is the puzzle piece that we need to start making our way towards the end.
And that may or may not be a fortunate thing for Krithel, who is going to need to be able to go down the path of getting the Meyer Big Key at some point. Now, without the Cane of Samaria on the table, both runners could wind up in the situation where they could potentially double-dip that dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesse is closer to the point of getting out of that situation than Krithel is, at least at the moment.
What else we got here in Palace of Darkness? A vanilla map. In the wrong chest, but the potion is nice. So what else are we looking for? We still need Cane of Samaria, Swamp Small. I think that's it.
Between the two runners, I think that is the sum total of our remaining checks. Now, each of them have a handful of additional things that they're going to need to find that the other runner has, but we have pared it down a little bit here by the 70-minute mark.
Ooh, gotta be careful.
I think those may have been intentional hits on Krithel's side, going to maybe, take the Death Warp out of here.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you don't want to take that Death Warp too early.
That is the blessing and the curse of those Kadongos doing trap damage, one full heart no matter your mail upgrade.
Mm-hmm. A blessing and a curse. And also Death Warp does allow Krithel to check this freely without having to worry about, wasting keys. Unless this ends up being something required. Which it isn't. Oh, I love that little buzz that happens when you when you reset. I don't actually love it. It's just I've heard it enough times because every time I reset using MSU, it always makes a little. I don't know if that's just like a constant thing or if it's like Super NT related or MSU related. I don't know if it does that on the original console or not.
It could be a hardware or a specific type of hardware thing. I can't say that I've ever noticed it on emulator.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be on Super NT really. Okay, that's what I figured. Now this is a banger. I feel like I've been enjoying the music more than I've actually been like paying attention to the race. Oh man.
So we've noticed most of the things in the race, and between our wonderful tracker Lady Laura Linda and chat, I think they've mostly kept us on course here.
Yeah.
That's so the Jesse's thing. We should point out volunteer force here, so yeah. It takes us all to get the job done, doesn't it?
Yeah. A lot of moving parts. So after this, Jesse will probably mirror, dip into pod, find that castle tower small, and be on that way towards getting that Quake medallion. But of course, still no Samaria yet. Still looking for that. I don't know, would you just go ahead and follow that into Meyer? Maybe looking for, I feel like Meyer and Key Sanity is a pretty good check. Of course, if you had the big key, or if you had Samaria, you could full clear it, be done with it, but I don't know. What would you do?
It's an interesting proposition, particularly since we've only seen between the two runners the one Meyer small key, so the firelocked side still illogical. And I have to wonder what Krithel's thinking. Still with the castle area on the table, then you have all of these things that are kind of hinting you towards Misery Mire instead. From Krithel's perspective, I think it makes at least as much sense as it will from Jesse's.
I gotta imagine Krithel will head up to Catfish after this, right? I mean, it's either that or we go back into Ice Palace. I mean, there's still a cold stare waiting there and a couple extra checks. Though, that would be pretty rude if the seed sent you in there to get both gloves, and then you did come back later to get Cane of Samaria.
It being Cane of Samaria would be maybe the more dangerous thing as I stop and think about it, because something like, say, come back in later with the hammer so that you can get at your Swamp Palace small?
Ooh. Ooh. Maybe. I mean, we've seen so much of the seed that there's really not many places left for these items that we need. And, you know, you get a Swamp Small, and all of a sudden you have so many checks in Swamp.
And who even wants to go there? It has that terrible splish splash shallow water sound effect. You go, do not.
Oh, it's the worst. And that whole left side swamp thingy, terrible. I always end up like trying. If there's a possibility that I get a go mode swamp, I will often try and go for that, just because losing time to people that always skip the left side swamp and don't get punished is just a frustrating experience.
Okay, the wizard down for Krithel. We are back on top of Hyrule Castle. If you're going to check the front of Hyrule Castle, now is the time.
Gonna pick up that mirror. I don't remember what else was in here other than the mirror, but that's a pretty important one.
May have been the location of the third TR small that Krithel's currently missing.
The only problem now is you get that mirror, and I feel like it's gonna just send Krithel away from going to Catfish. I don't... Like, Catfish at this point is gonna be, like, maybe do it before re-dipping Pendant Ice.
And stop me if I'm wrong, but was that a vanilla Arrow of Destiny?
I believe so, yes.
Thanks, video game.
Thanks for the funnies. I don't know about you, but watching a race where one runner has the boots for like an hour before the other it's not as interesting to me. Also because, I don't know, I feel like watching oh, hold on. Who cares? It's just a Turtle Rock Big. That's a pendant dungeon. Green pendant though. We don't have Samaria. It doesn't matter. I don't know, I just feel like runners can't really show off their skills as well when they have to walk everywhere. Now there is some skills in walking, with like pumping and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think for me, I'd rather see both runners like have boots at the same time always, just because it's so hard to watch somebody walk around for an extra hour over their opponent who got boots stupid early. You hate to see it.
I will admit that was one of the reasons why I had hoped that Ambrosia would be replaced by casual boots before this whole thing kicked off, and it was not.
Well, as long as you don't get boots in GT, right?
Yeah, Lonk, the boots are under the bed.
I wish. Well, we are going to see a dead Helma, and Jesse is going to get bailed out, so to speak, with that vanilla big key chest only having a heart container, so not going to be skipping out anything required there.
Yeah, this was the TR small, I think. Yep, there we go. I thought it was over here somewhere.
So I gotta imagine Krithel's gonna probably head up the mountain and do the TR stuff, because I mean, there's not really too much else you can do with the mirror at this point, aside from like checking one chest and swap. And yeah, of course, Aga is dead, so it puts you back on the castle. All right, flute to 2, please.
And that's difficult enough to remember in the normal style game. Once you're inverted, you're thinking, oh, I'm saving quitting in the light world. This is fine.
I just thought of a cool thing. If you go through the Ice Palace portal, then you just go through the other whirlpool and you can mirror right in front of Catfish. It's probably faster than doing this. Also, Krithel could have just fluted to the potion shop. It's so hard to remember that you can flute to the potion shop. I love that bass. It's so fun. Well, this is gonna be interesting. I mean, the downside for Krithel is, you know, unforced pod double dip, and probably, I don't know, what if they'll grab Quake immediately and then head straight to the Mire area? Miss out on the Mire big key up on the mountain? I don't know. We'll see. Also, nice mushroom off of Helma.
That is an awful lot of crystals in hand on Jesse's side all of a sudden. It felt like Krithel had the lead in those, even though the item count was behind for quite a while. And then, all of a sudden, hey, 5 crystals.
Alright, where are we off to next? Well, Jesse's gonna go beat... Okay, Jesse's gonna do Spike Key. But then gonna go beat Aga Tower.
And Krithel going to go ahead and get all of the things out of Turtle Rock that are available, is what it looks like. Ah, and Hookshot Cave, yes, yes.
Oh! Mire. Well, I mean, I guess if you're heading that way. Does that put stuff in logic now in Mire?
Going to need all 3, surprisingly enough.
I don't know Mire's small key logic well enough at all.
Essentially,
I only know
need none for anything except the Firelock side, which need all 3.
Firelock side is 3. Okay. Interesting. The only thing I know is in non-Kisani, what if you get a small key in Compass Room, then you know the big key is vanilla. That's it. That's the one. I think I knew other Mire logic, but quickly forgot it because I'm like, I don't need this, and plucked it from my brain.
As with so many other dungeons, Ice Palace being another top offender, you don't think about it because we sequence break the dungeons so thoroughly that the key logic is really just there as kind of a suggestion, and it's something that you can mostly use to know when maybe you want to make a skip, but other than that, it doesn't tend to impact your play all that much.
So what do you think we're going to find next? Do you think we're going to find Samaria and then we can just beat Mire while we're in there? Or do you think we're going to go to Mire, find the Swamp Small, to go to Swamp to find Samaria?
That second one feels more likely to me, just because of the way everything else has been bouncing around in this seed. Though, in fairness to that, if we find Samaria there, then we have essentially the other third to a half of Turtle Rock available to find that Swamp Small. Yuck. Yeah,
there's still possibility for this seed to really stink things up. Especially if you have to like go back. Yeah, if you have to like go back to TR or go back into Ice Palace. Do we have much overworld left? I think we do. I think Spike Cave is like the last thing still. And Pyramid Fairy. I don't think we've seen anything else.
And Pyramid Fairy would just be for Swamp Small.
Mm-hmm.
As amusing as suddenly no logic have fun hovering to Trinex would be, it would not. I like how Jesse's trying to do that in time with the
Yep.
music. Nice little touch there.
I mean, you gotta do something while you're waiting. This fight is such a snoozer. Though this music really helps. I do like clonking him on the head with the boomerang.
Alright,
think-
Krithel, the flute to 4 was apparently a missed flute. Now we're going to go 3 instead. I'm wondering what's still left over here from his perspective.
I'm imagining this is a Quake pickup to head to Meyer.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm gonna assume both of our runners are gonna be heading in that direction soon. It's looking like the best play at this point. I like how my brain was like, oh, if you run through the front of Hyrule Castle, you're gonna get sent to the Dark World. Because you just beat Aga, but nope.
Yep.
That's not how that works. Oh, there's a fairy in that tree. Huh. Well, there you go.
Surprise. Now, I was worried when our runners synced up at 18 minutes and then again at 53 minutes that the next time was going to be around the 2-hour mark, but no, instead, here we are picking up Lumberjack and likely to be in Meyer at fairly close to the same time. Krithel does have a couple of boots checks to get here, so Jesse likely to be there first, but not by much.
Yeah, I think for Krithel, it might need to come down to just one of those required items being somewhere stupid, maybe. Just because of having to go back to that pod play, and pod can be a little time consuming to get through a second time. But, you know, despite the 45 minutes without boots, like, it's still a relatively close race.
It looks like Jesse wants to pick up the small child check. I had wondered for just a second, and then I thought, oh, right, the bottle locations were terrible for making this check.
There's what, Harmless Hellway and First Chest Hera, I believe, were the two bottles we've seen. And then Pedestal is one as well. Alright, time to sync up in Meyer. So all we have left for new information is what's in Meyer, what's back in Ice, and what's in the T-Rock Big Chest. I think that's it. And, yeah, fortunately, Krithel picking up that Meyer Big on their visit back up the mountain with that mirror. So, if Kane does show up in here, then you can just finish out this dungeon. Now, if
gaining
you
a bit of time there employing that Fire Rod in Meyer 2, Jesse getting the early 2 cycle instead. And sorry about that, I jumped right on you when you were like,
oh, no, you're
something
fine.
much more interesting.
I was just gonna repeat the same thing over again. Oh, Skull Small, almost. So yeah, if both Kane and Swamp Small are in here, then Jesse is well on his way for taking this race and setting up a tiebreaker race between these two at a later date. Just with that pod difference. Hey, Moth is in logic now.
Hey,
wonderful.
Logical Mothula, just what everybody always wanted. Oh wait, Moth's dead already for both runners,
Yeah.
and was not worth anything but the crystal.
We got big chest, right side, and cutscene left. Otherwise, I think we might have to go back to ice, maybe? We do also have that mushroom to turn in from Helma, but that's not in logic without 2 more pod smalls anyway. We are running out of locations. Kana Samaria? Heart piece. Okay. You know these runners are thinking in their heads, like, man, I bet Ice has Kana Samaria, because it would just have to do that to me.
And of course, my opponent went right to it. I'm sinking all of this time into Meyer. I'm going to double dip. He's not.
There's the Swamp Small. Okay. 2 more checks over here. I mean, if we find Kane over here, then we're in, we can just start blitzing the rest of these dungeons. Seed was nice and gave us a very early GT big key, so at least it's not a, you know, find everything else to get into GT and then have to look for the big key. Which is, I don't know, always the worst in a key sanity mode.
And if we'd gotten the tournament's other key sanity mode, we could be in that position, because the GT big key in tournament open keys is guaranteed to be in there somewhere.
That's different. It's different when it's guaranteed to be in there. I'm saying a key sanity where it's not guaranteed. It's like, how much full clearing do I do before I go full clear GT looking for the big key? But I gotcha. All right, well, I'm gonna assume we're going to Swamp. I don't know where else we'd go.
It's tough to fathom another play of what we could go look at Turtle Rock again if we found a big key or something, but yeah, I don't think so. Too much density in Swamp Palace.
I think I remember Jesse picking up the T-Rock big somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but yeah, I would not be anticipating going back to TR for 1 check, but you never know. Pod big chest. I just remember that. Nobody helped me remember that. That's where it was. Thanks, me. Thanks. Man, I got such a good brain.
It's a good thing map tracking is legal.
Now Jesse's going to save a bunch of time here in Swamp because he already checked the first chest, so huge advantage. We are just looking for a Kana Samaria. And then you just hightail it back to kill Vidi, and then save and quit in the light world to get back onto Hyrule Castle, where our GT is sitting.
In that location, it's a really convenient flute to the 6th spot, and you just pick up the rock, become light world bound, and save and quit.
It is kind of nice not having to go back up the mountain. Though, if it was like our current mountain, it's really not bad to get to GT since there's that extra bridge there. Now, unfortunately, Krithel having a couple mental errors here in the Swamp Palace. Probably feeling the heat a little bit. I mean, I would be feeling the heat too if I missed boots for that long. And knowing that you did an unnecessary double dip a pod, or I guess triple dip at this point.
Well, it was always going to be the double dip, since you had to go in there the first time to get that Ice Palace Big Key
Right.
gloves. So you knew that the second dip was going to happen. It was the third one that was avoidable.
Yeah.
Still doesn't feel good in either case, though. And I've already touched this dungeon once. I didn't want to have to come back.
It's still nutty to think how the seed started. It was a bit of a train wreck. Jeez. We're gonna see a bomb diver down on Jesse's side. Looks good. We have a Samaria back here. No, another Podsamal. One more, and that mushroom's in logic. Yeah, and as expected, both runners are skipping right to the back. Now, if you don't find a Samaria off of Argus, do you go back in?
When you're this low on remaining checks, you almost have to, don't you? Otherwise, you're going through all the trouble of re-unflooding the light world again, and on and on, and all the other shenanigans you have to do. It's not going to get any faster than it is right now.
Well, the fastest would be is if you never had to do left side swamp, right? Just rush Ice Palace. That's where it's at.
Sure.
Such a good song. I love it. It's such a good pack.
Classic Turtles
Nice.
in time.
Really nice Argus. For a bloopy. Really nice phase one from Krithel.
Almost managed to salvage the one cycle, but was just a split second late. A 0 cycle, rather he got 2 1 cycle.
Jesse's going back in. But fortunately for Jesse, has some time to spare, though of course they don't know that. And if they're like me, they're assuming that their opponent did everything correct, and they're always behind.
Always behind until the dot done goes in. The
Always,
rando player's motto.
Well, if Samaria is on left side, then this is... it's still better for Jesse, but... Either way, no runner is gonna get hacked by skipping left side swamp if that's the actual answer. But if it's not... It's either a trip back to ice. I mean, it'd probably be a trip back to ice. That's like the best option on the table compared to going up for one chest in TR or turning in an out of logic mushroom.
Turning in an out of logic mushroom at the witches, which is just yuck.
Yeah, Witch's Hut is a real pain to get to in inverted. Now, probably not as bad. Well, no, I mean, getting off the castle to go, yeah, it's not great.
No, it's just pretty bad. I see Jesse's teammate in chat there, Leoria, saying Jesse has too much ego to think he's behind the whole race.
I mean, 31-minute boots, I'd be feeling pretty good. There it is. All right, 137.38. Jesse, first player into go mode, and very likely going to take this race at this pace.
All those GT smalls just there for logic and to make your life a little easier. Of course, this is inverted, and Ganon's Tower has been transplanted on top of Hyrule Castle by means of magical Triforce shenanigans.
Naturally. And if it weren't for the fact that Krithel still had to go back and kill Helma, this would be a really close race still.
You never really think that going down to take care of Helmasaur is that long, and then you think, but I have to flute to 5, I have to go through the hedge. I mean, it's in inverted, it's faster to go ahead and take Light World there and mirror over if you have the mirror. Just because the hedge maze is such a slog.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
But then you get into Palace of Darkness, and the entire basement section of that is longer than you really think about when you're doing it in real time. You think, oh, this is going to be pretty quick, but it's not.
Yeah, and honestly, like, yeah, getting the boots as late as Krithel did definitely hurt them quite a bit in the race, but, like, I think really it might have been just holding off on checking escape and getting that mirror, because that mirror ended up... Because the boots only led to Quake, I believe. That was the only significance of the boots, other than just going fast.
Boots to Quake to the Swamp Small to Samaria.
Yeah, but I mean, to get that started. But like...
That really was your end-game chain. Everything else was not tucked away behind them.
And just having that mirror early enough as Jesse did allowed them to do a lot of the mirror checks along the way to kind of route a little bit more efficiently. Oh, right, the hookshot and bonk chest was pretty important, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I take it back. I didn't mean to talk poorly about the boots. I'm sorry.
They're just red and shiny, that's all. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like racing stripes on a car.
So, not getting the boots meant that Krithel had to do an extra trip up the mountain. But then again, Jesse also held off on the mountain until they had the mirrors and boots, so they were able to get Hookshot and the Meyer Big out of TR, so... Yeah. All these little things, you know. That's the tough part, is like you try and decide when you want to route something in, and your hope is that you put off a check so that you can find an item that allow you to do that check more efficiently. But then it doesn't work, or it does. That's the fun part about Rando. And whoa, wow, that was quick. We're already here.
Blink and you missed it. As suspected, yep. Jesse walks right out of Mr. Meyer, flutes to 6, lifts up the rock, gets into the light world, and because Ag is already dead, the save and quit puts you right where you want to be, right in front of the entry to GT. We've already got the GT big key, so all it is the climb.
And with Gold Sword, Red Mail, well, I mean, we're down to 4 hearts, but whatever. The only thing we could possibly want would be silvers, but even then, we might see a couple checks up the top of the gauntlet looking for them. They're certainly not as important.
At this point, with the half magic, the cape, you've got the lamp, so it's not as though you're really concerned about the missing torch glitch. It would be at least mildly surprising to me if Jesse decided he wanted to fluff a couple of checks here at the top of the tower.
No, aside from the really, really rough beginning, I feel like Light World really wasn't too bad. I mean, we still did everything in the game, pretty much, aside from, like, a couple checks and going back to ice. But it's Key Sandy. Like, Key Sandy, it's rare that you get to skip a lot of stuff.
The free, only mostly helpful bailout there, the Stalkos and the Sasaks and the Baris in high value today. Jesse picked up the Fairy and got Sword Beams, and then Gauntlet 3 said, well, you have Sword Beams, so you're not killing these in one shot anymore.
Nope. I still wish we had Zelda 1 Sword Beams.
Zelda 1 Sword Beams, yep.
Which are actually good. But then that would be too powerful. You would be a menace.
Even if it was just one level down from the current sword, it would be valuable at that point in situations that aren't Meyer 2.
I think it balances out in Zelda 1, though, because you die very fast in that game. So, you know, you're basically a glass cannon all the time. Well, I feel like it's a lot harder to die in this game. Well, especially when you have like red mail. You know what game is really hard to die in? Ocarina of Time. Impossible. You live forever in that game.
Couple sticks worth of cleanup there on Vitreous, and Krithel is going to go ahead and pull down crystal number 7 here, but Jesse is already into the torch puzzle section, nearly at the top of this tower.
Now, I mean, it's still going to be a relatively close race. You know, you're at least going to be in GT before your opponent finishes. Of course, I'm sure Krithel would have rather just got the win and got to move on to brackets, but I mean, it's not over yet. I keep talking like it is, but pretty big lead. And yeah, Jesse needs this. He doesn't need that, but he does need this win in order to set up another race, a tiebreaker race between these two, because they have identical records with Jesse winning today.
Not only identical records, but achieved in identical ways, 1-1 against everybody in the group if Jesse comes out on top here. Otherwise, earlier tiebreakers in the chain could have decided it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what kind of Agatu we get today. We get some nice patterns or not. Krithel down to 2 hearts, gotta be a little careful going along in here. Ooh, this could be good. Aw, come on, Aga.
Yeah, Aga says no, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, I guess it doesn't matter that much because it was gonna be a 3-cycle anyway, but then Aga was still like, nah. 4-cycle. Alright.
Uncooperative wizards, uncooperative moths, uncooperative worms. Suddenly I think that more things than not in this game are just not cooperative with the hero for whatever reason.
What's up with that? That makes sense. Do you think anybody in Hyrule Castle like felt this? Like, you think you go in the actual castle, like the main lobby, and there's also a hole in there too? Like, this doesn't make much logical sense. I mean, come on.
Again, I'm just chalking it up to magical Triforce shenanigans. Ganon can kinda do what he wants.
That's true. Clearly that hole isn't just a hole into the castle, it's a portal into this this realm. This battle realm, clearly. Old Sword's gonna make first 2 phases really easy. Fire Bat to the face is gonna hurt.
Yeah, less on red mail than it could otherwise, but still not an ideal piece of damage to take.
My tower! Oh man, what if they're upstairs?
Then you feel a little bad and you hope that your opponent was not neck and neck with you and decided to make 1 or 2 extra checks.
Yeah. You finish the seed out and like, hey, where were silvers? Hold 2. Ah. Wow, it's hard not to check those along the way. They're just, I mean, they're right there. I think it's worse in Key Sandy because you could get like maps or compasses with text boxes and that adds up time.
Very true. It's always, oh no, it's a compass, and now I have to go mash. Come on, go away. I don't play an MG so that I don't have to do this.
That's gonna do it. That's a dead Ganon right there.
Just one fanfare and a bridge extension stands between RadicalSniper99, aka Jesse, and victory.
Get your GGs in chat. We got a tiebreaker race to schedule between these two. Group stage is never ending.
Here we are. It took a little while, but we have achieved chaos in the group stage.
Oh, that was weird. Knocked him into the wall, so the blue ball hit the wall instead. All right, and we're gonna let Krithel finish out this fight, then we'll get them both in here. I will say, with the MSU stuff, it's hard not to just like get distracted and just listen.
It really is, isn't it? I've found in commentating this tournament that I tend to have to turn a lot of them down because otherwise I'll just go popping along and kind of stop talking a little while. It makes me understand one of my friends who made an MSU pack, and it is the only music that he will play rando to, because if he tries to play it with anything else in a competitive setting, he gets distracted by the music and doesn't play as well.
It's a toughie. Man, I wonder which chest those silvers are in then. That's the downside about MSU, though, is that boss fights never, more often than not, they never actually get a chance to get started before the fight's already over.
Yeah, as an MSU pack author, you have to be really aware that if you don't start on the banger portion of the song, you're unlikely to get to the banger portion of the song before the fight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you wind up doing something like Master Sword Silver Liskanen, but you can't count on every runner having to do Master Sword Silver Liskanen every time, so that finally at 2 minutes in, you can hit the highlight of the song. You need to be there within the first 15 seconds on Ganon, and really right from the start in any other boss fight.
Oh, for sure. GG's to Krithel! That's another dead Ganon. What a nice race for Inverted Keys. Once we got out of Dark World, wasn't too bad.
Yeah, get out of Dark World jail first, and then you can play the video game, as is tradition.
Mm-hmm. And we do welcome our winner today, Jesse, into the booth. GG's.
GG. Whew.
How you feeling after that one?
I'm relaxed a bit now. I'm, having a bit of time to just kind of calm is good.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that is stressful.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I've been there.
After our first game was like less than a minute,
mm-hmm.
you know that it's going to be a tough competition day in, day out. So
yeah, these group stage races have been. It's either like huge wins or like super close wins.
Yeah.
And especially as we're getting close to bracket stages, when we have these really important matches coming up. So, and this was a pretty important match for you.
Yeah. I get a tiebreaker. I get to play Krithel again, a third time.
Yay! We do also welcome Krithel. GG's on your race.
GG.
GG.
We don't have too much time to chit chat, but I just want to get your thoughts on that seed as well, Krithel.
I was really hoping not to see inverted, and I was in trouble when we rolled that one. I'm completely clueless with inverted, so
that was
just wander around and see what happens.
That was a pretty nasty start.
Yeah. All the power to somebody who is willing to dive pod with nothing.
Well, that's what Krithel did. So
bravo.
Well, I think it's because Krithel decided to do pod before getting fire out of pyramid, so Ice
Okay.
Palace wasn't even in play at the time, so it made sense.
Okay.
But yeah, like early double dip ice for you, Jesse, to get the gloves, and then it's like, now I have the whole light ring. Now what?
I'm just
And
glad I avoided the triple dip.
yeah,
Saving that key out of the wait on the path to Ice Tea Room is a huge factor in this one.
right. Because otherwise, logically, you had to go to Catfish to get the boots,
Yep.
to go up to Death Mountain to get the hook shot,
Yep.
to then go back in. Like, that's just disgusting.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit afterwards in the race room, and when I got the glove out of Spike Room first and then pulled the second glove out of Big Chest, I'm like, okay, that's Light World, but Catfish had something.
Yeah.
Which was it? And I was like, I have to resolve this issue. I just have to know, because I'm a little concerned about what
it's going to
it
be
could have
something
been.
good. If you
Yeah,
know the
it's going to be
logic.
something.
So.
And then it's boots, and I'm like, so I'm panicking in my mind because I'm like, I missed something. And then it's like right as I get to VOO, I'm like, it's first chest of Hookshot Cave, it's something. It's either Samaria for the front of TR, or it's Hookshot for Hookshot Cave and Ice Palace and Light Death Mountain. It's one of the two. I'll live with whatever it is for now.
Yeah.
Let me just play the game.
It was unfortunate how long it took you to get over to Catfish, Krithel, and missing out on those boots. But, you know, despite all that, it was still a really, really close race. Like, you always think that the boots make such a huge difference. But it seemed like they didn't hinder you too much other than getting you to your required items sooner.
Yeah, it's a shame. I was skipping out on Hyrule Castle because I didn't have the boots. It was a bit of a pain to get there, and I knew I wanted to loop it in with post Aga Tower, unless I found a quicker way of getting there. And then I didn't find Aga Tower, like full Aga Tower access, until real late. And by that point, I couldn't use the mirror to get to Catfish, so I ended up just deciding to hit it before I went up to do awful TR checks.
Yeah. Well, I bailed you out from those awful TR checks for sure.
Certainly did. Well, I still had to do them, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, good race between you guys. It's a lot of fun to watch. MindDM, do you have any questions for our friends before we get on out of here?
No, I think we've kind of hit the highlights. Thank you both for putting on a great show. Just a couple of minutes in between you, and oh yeah, you've said it already, but now you get to do it again.
Oh boy.
Oh, fun times. At least it won't be inverted.
Yeah, I guess that's. I mean, I was happy we didn't get we couldn't get Ambrosia today, to be honest. So.
You didn't want the boots hint?
No, because my two Ambrosia races. In the first one, I got baited up. We got baited up the mountain together, so, and it really kind of diverted us from a nice god route. And then in my second race, which was Tito's on Wednesday, I decided to avoid the boots for a little bit out of Pendant Eastern, and definitely helped make a difference. I feel so.
Yeah, that's the thing about the boots hint, is it can kind of force you into some inefficient routing, and or you could go to a dungeon and you can't find it. It's not like it's deeper in the dungeon, you can't get it, and then you feel like a ding dong. But still an interesting mode itself. But yeah, GG's to both you guys. Good luck in your tiebreaker race whenever you decide to schedule that. Be sure to check that one out. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And no inverted, so even more fun.
That's my favorite mode, actually, of this tourney, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly wacky. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I enjoy
still
it.
haven't had McBoss.
Oh, well, maybe that's what you'll get.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. Well, alrighty. We gotta wrap this up. We got another race coming up. Yeah, GG's everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks, Lady Laura Linda, for tracking. MindDM, thanks for the comms. Thanks for the restream. Thanks for running. Thanks for watching. MindDM, close this out, buddy.
Absolutely. Stay tuned right here if you want to catch a Metroid Prime race coming up pretty much just as soon as we can vacate the channel. You can go to speedgaming.org/schedule if you need to know all the other things that are going on the Speed Gaming family of networks. Speed Gaming, Speed Gaming 2 through 6. We've also got the foreign language channels, Deutsche, Francés, Espanol, and Portuguese, just in case you need to get your speed gaming action in a language that is not one that I speak. There's more link to the past main tournament action coming up on a number of the channels over the course of the remainder of the day. For additional rando tourney action, ALTTP Randomizer at twitch.tv is another place you can go. There's a bunch more. By all means, hang around here, catch the Metroid Prime, catch some Link to the Past rando main tourney action. But whatever it is, have a great rest of your day, everybody.